I've been thinking a lot about how different we are at different ages. Sometimes I'll just sit here drinking my coffee. I'll start thinking about the 16-year-old version of me. Honestly, I don't think she'd even recognize me today. If she walked through my front door, she'd probably stand here looking around this little teeny tiny house wondering, what on earth happened to me? She'd probably say, wait a minute, where's New York? Weren't we supposed to be living in a penthouse somewhere? Weren't we supposed to have this big old huge career? Because that girl wasn't dreaming about baking homemade bread or painting pictures or spending quiet afternoons at home. Definitely not. She wanted to conquer the world. I wanted to be a fashion designer. I pictured myself living in New York City with this big career. I had the whole picture in my mind of what life was going to look like for me. What's funny is, if you had asked me then, I probably would have told you I wasn't planning on getting married anytime soon. I thought my whole future was going to revolve around my career. Well, life had other plans. I ended up getting married when I was 16 and a half years old. And from that point in my life, started taking turns I never could have imagined. Looking back now, it's almost funny how certain I was that I knew exactly how my life was going to unfold. I had it all planned out. God had a completely different plan. Somewhere in the middle of all those dreams, I got this really crazy idea that maybe I should audition for Broadway. Now, before anyone gets too impressed, I could sing. I could not dance. Not even a little bit. That little detail somehow didn't stop me. So I went. I can still remember sitting there waiting for them to call my name. I was so nervous. My stomach was all tied in knots. Everybody else, they looked like they belonged there, like they've been doing it forever. Some were stretching, and some were quietly singing to themselves, and I'm sitting there thinking, this could actually change my whole life. Finally, it was my turn. They called my name, and I walked up on that stage, and they had me sing. No music, no piano, completely a cappella. Just me. And when I finished, it was so quiet, you could hear a pin drop. Nobody clapped. Nobody smiled. They just looked at me and they said, thank you. That was it. I remember trembling when I walked off that stage and found my seat, sat back out there and waited for everybody else to go and take their turn. And I thought, well, I guess that's over. But then something happened that I wasn't expecting. A little while later, they called me back up. And they called me up again and again. They kept pairing me up with different people to sing harmony. And every single time they called my name, I got a little more excited. I actually can remember thinking, oh my goodness, I might actually do this. I had already started imagining what my life was going to look like. I'd finally become somebody. Everything was going to change. Then it was time for the dancing audition. That dream, it just came to us to a big old halt. It ended. I gave it everything I had. Looking back now, it just makes me laugh so hard when I think about it. I probably looked like I was swatting bees more than I was dancing. Nobody laughed at me. Nobody embarrassed me. They just said thank you. I moved to the next person. When I left, I was so disappointed. I wasn't heartbroken. I was just disappointed. Because when you're 16, every closed door feels like the end of the world. And you honestly believe you just missed the life you were supposed to have. And that's the part I've been thinking about lately. Not Broadway and not the singing, What I really believed that if one person noticed me, and if one opportunity worked out, and if one door finally opened, then I'd finally become the person that I wanted to be. Looking back now, I don't think Broadway was really the dream. I think I just wanted somebody to look at me and say, she's gonna be somebody. I've never really thought about that till just now. It's funny how you live almost 60 years and you still realize something new about yourself. Because Broadway wasn't the last dream I chased. Not even close. A little while later, I decided I was going to become a fashion designer. Then I thought maybe I'd be a model. I was 5'9", about 120 pounds. So I went to a modeling agency thinking maybe this was finally it. The woman looked me up and down, had me turn around a couple times, and then she said, "Lose 25 pounds and come back." I remember walking out thinking, 25 pounds? From where? At the time, though, I didn't laugh. I completely believed her. I thought maybe if I could just change one more thing about myself, I'd finally be enough. Looking back now, it's strange. Every few years, I became a completely different woman. The dreams changed. The destination changed. But one thing never really changed. I always believed happiness was waiting somewhere else. If I could just get there, then life would finally begin. And if I'm honest, I think a lot of us spend years living that way, waiting for the next thing, the next season, the next house, the next paycheck, the next opportunity, thinking that's where peace is. If someone had shown 16-year-old Jana this little house, my paint brushes sitting on the table, homemade bread cooling on the counter, 3 kitties running around, and Tim laughing from the other room, I really think she would have looked around and felt sorry for me. She would have thought, is this really all there is? And you know what's funny? Now I'm the one who feels sorry for her. Not because she had big dreams. I hope every young person has big dreams. I feel sorry for her because she really believed happiness was always somewhere else. She had no idea that one day she'd find it in a little house she never would have wanted. You know, life has such a funny way of rewriting our plans. It doesn't usually ask our permission either. The years that followed look nothing like what I had pictured when I was 16. Not even close. I became a mom. Then I became a single mom. Found myself in places I never thought I'd be. There were years when I wondered, where did that ambitious girl go? Years where survival was more important than dreams. It's funny how life does that. When you're young, you spend so much time asking yourself, what do I want to be? What do I want to become? Then one day, life hands you things you never planned for. And suddenly you're asking a completely different question. How do I just get through today? I don't think 16-year-old Jana ever imagined that there was going to be nights sleeping in a car or selling hot dogs from an old hot dog cart on Cocoa Beach just to make rent. Or even imagine running to a shelter with 3 little children and another baby on the way. And she never thought, I know she never imagined, that there would be years when simply getting out of bed would feel like an accomplishment. None of those things were part of the dream. Not one of them. And if I'm being honest, there were years when I thought those dreams had died. I thought somewhere along the way, I'd become a completely different person. Maybe I had, but not in the way I thought. Because looking back now, I don't think God was taking my dreams away. I really don't. I think He was slowly changing what I wanted. There's a difference. At 16, I wanted people to know my name. Today, I don't really care about that anymore. I don't need people to know who I am. I care a whole lot more about who I am when nobody's looking. That matters so much more to me now. I don't wake up wondering if the world notices me. I wake up wondering if I'm being a good wife, if I'm living the way the Lord wants me to live, if I'm using whatever years I have left to encourage somebody, you, who's having a hard day. That feels like a much better dream. Not because it's bigger, because it's so real. Sometimes people leave comments telling me how peaceful my videos are, and I always smile when I read them. Because if you had told 16-year-old Jana that one day she'd be sitting in a little kitchen talking about homemade bread, faith, paintbrushes, cats, finding peace, she probably would have laughed. She would have thought, that sounds like the most boring life in the whole world. And yet, I honestly can't think of another life I'd rather have. Not because it's been easy. It hasn't. And not because we've had plenty of money. We have not. And not because everything worked out the way that I planned. It definitely didn't. But because somewhere along the way, I stopped trying to be the woman that I thought everyone else would admire. And started becoming the woman I could finally live with. I think that's a much better place to end up. You know, when I was younger, I spent so much of my life trying to become someone people would admire. I don't think I even realized I was doing it. I wanted approval. I wanted people to tell me I was doing a good job. I wanted people to like me. And today, I don't live like that anymore. Not trying to make everybody happy. Not trying to make people agree with me. And I'm not trying to become who somebody else thinks I should be. This is who I am. Some people will like that, and some won't. And I'm okay with that now. That might be one of the greatest freedoms getting older has given me. Sometimes I wonder what that 16-year-old girl would think if she walked through my front door today. I hope she'd notice the little things. Smell of bread in the oven, paint drying on the easel, cats asleep on my favorite chair, to making me laugh. A woman who finally knows who she is. I hope she'd stop looking around this little house long enough to notice that. She actually became everything she was hoping for, not just in the way she expected. And if she asked me today, did we make it? I'd smile and I would tell her, yep, we sure did.